Hi, everyone. This is Amy Brown. I'm Assistant Director of Technology Enhanced Pedagogy. And before that, I was 12 years at a local community college as the Director of e-learning.
Hi, I'm Audrey Brik-Lee. I'm an instructional technology consultant here at UNCG, and before that, I was an instructional designer, and previously before that, I was an accessibility specialist at a community college.
Yay! So Audrey and I are here to talk to you about faculty development at community college. And we have some overall goals. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably did not get to join us in person. We're actually presenting at INFD here in 2019. But the great thing is that we've formed a Padlet. So we've got all of our great ideas, not just from Audrey and I, but from the room on a Padlet. So our goals for that session were to kind of learn what everyone was doing at their school, and then understand what questions we should all be asking ourselves and the people back at our school, and then learn about those strategies that help us create a collaborative space for faculty. So again, we've asked our groups questions, and those answers that they shared are on the Padlet. So after you watch the video, please do and go watch that Padlet.
Yeah, so I like to take a really broad view of faculty development. I think in the community college setting in particular, we really need to be thinking about the culture and about forming those relationships, because community college faculty have unique pressures, limited resources, and so as faculty developers, we really need to think about them as whole people. So I found it really useful to think of it in terms of Maslow, because it really provides that structure. We need to think about our faculty as whole human beings. They don't leave who they are and those stressors behind them when they come into our space. So we need to be creating that comfortable, safe space for them to come and learn. And as you can see with Maslow, it shows us how people can kind of get stuck down the bottom, right? So the magic happens up in the top. That's where people are achieving their full potential. They're getting creative. They're problem solving. That's where we want faculty to be when we're working with them. And if we ignore those lower parts, sometimes we don't get the results that we want. And so sometimes we tend to think more in terms of goals and outcomes. I think that's really natural for us. But if we ignore this other part, we're just not going to get the outcomes that we want. So I found that when I'm really focused on building relationships and creating that sense of community and belonging, introducing faculty to each other so that they start to feel a real sense of community in our space, then we can really start digging in and getting great results and having them really focused on what we're trying to do.
Lovely. So we asked the group some questions, and those answers to those questions are what's on the Padlet. So the first question we asked was, how do you approach relationships with faculty at your college? Now we focused on that because we started with that because we feel like we all approach our relationships differently, and we want to see how people are doing that. But one of the important things is that faculty are all going multiple directions at all times. So forming those relationships is not clear cut. For instance, they're teaching, they're advising multiple students. Some schools have them advising 40, 50 students in one semester. And then they're on committees, so their attention's very divided. So we have to be mindful and respectful of that. But they also want to know, what am I doing? What am I doing in the classroom that's working, and help them talk through it, and then why is it important? Audrey, you were talking the other day about how what was that example that you used where it's helping them understand when they did something right, and then why was it so important to do it that way, and kind of acknowledging that.
Yeah, I like to really think of it just like when we teach faculty about things like adult learning theory. We're helping them understand that there needs to be that relevance and explaining why it matters. So giving them that space to really take a break from all that hustle and bustle of the committee work and the advisees and all of that to think about why the things are working that are working in their classroom, share those ideas, and then, really allow those strategies to go viral on campus is the way I like to think about it. And we let those things happen organically by communicating with each other, not just from us to them. We're not there to just impart, what we know. I know we get excited about what we know and we want to share all those things, but really letting them share their own examples with each other and running with it.
So we talked the other day about how a lot of faculty, whether it's college or university, don't come in with a lot of pedagogy experience. They don't have that, but they're very sensitive to that. So you don't want to expose them. So you have to find those ways of kind of finding out where they are and recognizing where they are and celebrating where they are, and then bringing those nuggets of information of, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Those moments.
Yeah, one of my favorite questions to ask faculty is to think about their favorite classes in college. And I always ask them, what made that class so great? And I ask this of students too when I get the chance. And I would say 99.9% of the time, the answer is always based on that person, what the person brought to the class, not the textbook, not anything else. It's all about that person. And so when they start telling those stories and then they start realizing, well, I do this and I do that, and they start thinking about that, it helps them shift their focus a little bit, I think.
Right. And then also realizing, and I think this happens everywhere, that there's multiple cultures at every school. So there's the institutional culture, and then there's a division culture, and there's a department culture. And sometimes inside that culture, they have little cliques in that culture. So finding your ways to learn that culture is essential. So I know, Audrey, you mentioned how you talked to the division chair a lot, became close with that person, and that person helped you get into the different departments and get in their heads.
Yeah, she would start inviting me to all the meetings, and it all started there with that relationship.
So that's definitely key there. The next question that we asked, and that's again on the Padlet, is what strategies are you using to create a collaborative space? So this is where we want to know what's really working on your campuses. And collaborative space, we talked about this term a lot. So how do you define that, Audrey, collaborative space?
I think that it can be physical or digital. So when I was an instructional designer, I was able to form a faculty book club with some of our faculty, and that allowed us to come together, different people from different departments. But then I created a site in our LMS called Faculty Exchange. And so what I did was I would reach out and ask for great examples of the great things that people are doing, and I would pull them into this site so that people could see what each other were doing. And so that was an example of how, we were creating that collaboration online because the community college faculty are so busy. You have these great intentions to have these, people coming into your space physically, but you can't always make it happen during the semester.
Right. So you not only gave them a space, you can do a digital or you can do a physical, that allowed them to kind of express themselves, and here's what I'm doing and what's working, but in a way you gave them recognition.
Exactly.
You gave them, and that's really missing when it comes to the college experience, in that they're not getting tons of raises, they're maybe not getting a lot of kudos. So sometimes faculty development brings them that recognition and not getting in other ways.
And it plays right back into Maslow with that, that almost to the top at the the second to the top level is about esteem. It's about understanding and feeling confident that I can do this. Giving them that recognition really helps build into that so that they start to feel safe to take those risks where all that magic happens north of there.
Right. And then also celebrating, just having that moment to celebrate what they have done. Sometimes it's, hey, you survived the semester and you are still upright. Let's celebrate it. Let's take those. And it could be as small as let's have a donut together, a cup of coffee. So
yeah. Or just sharing genuine, authentic excitement when they come to tell you a story. Be that person who's a good listener, and just celebrating with them. I think that's such a great way to think about it.
Yeah. And then keeping each other motivated. So we know that development's never a destination, it's a journey, and keeping them on that track of, we found that here at UNCG, that once someone kind of gets there and they try something that they've learned, they get hooked and want to learn more. Yeah. So And that's a big part of motivation. They can see that. They'll try it in the classroom and it works and they get excited and they stay motivated and they want to keep coming back for more.
Yeah, so something else we did was we tried to break things down into small pieces because, again, there's that time pressure in the community college. We all want to do these great big things, but giving them very small things that they can do, that they can implement right away, and then letting them experience the success of that. What happens when I do this? And then, allowing them to track those successes, I think is really a great tool for motivation.
Definitely. And the last question we asked everyone was, so after the relationships, the culture, the strategies, how are you assessing your success? And this is tricky for a lot of us because we got to find multiple ways to do that because it's more than just the number of butts in a seat.
Right.
Because you see a student in class, you think, I got a butt in the seat. That doesn't mean that they're learning. So what are those formal, informal, large or small moments, how you are assessing success? Mm-hmm. So when I think of the small moments, I think of, when you there would be faculty I would always run into the go to the ladies' room and I would come and they would sit in the seat going, I'm having trouble with this. And I would, have you thought about this? I'm like, God, there's no way to document that conversation over the sink. Right. But it was those little small moments. How do I explain my success to our administration?
Yeah, that's tough.
Every school has to kind of find their way. And unfortunately, it's got to drill down to numbers in some way.
Yeah.
So it could be attending a workshop, linking success, trying pilot projects, and really documenting your numbers there.
Yeah.
This is the hard stuff that we'll have to go back to our school. And I find that when I was the director, I had to kind of figure out what did upper administration value, what kind of numbers did they value, and really kind of think about how to capture that. And then come back and tell the staff and say, here's what they value. How are we going to find those numbers? Like, for instance, we always looked at help tickets and how quickly we answered help tickets. But that does not really resonate with administration. So maybe it sounds unfortunate, but finding out what administration, how they will say, yes, if I heard that number, I think you're being successful, finding out what that is and then coming back and letting all of faculty development help you kind of get there. That's the tricky part. That's kind of the hard part of our work.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing how you all do that.
Yes. I'm hoping to hear some great ideas to use. So those are the 3 questions that we asked our group. And after you watch this video, please go immediately to the Padlet because that's kind of where the magic's going to be, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So all those great ideas. So review our Padlet and don't hesitate to add your great ideas to that Padlet as well. Thank you so much for listening. This is Amy.
Audrey.
And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.